Hey guys, you're watching Chaotic TV. We're bringing you some more selected games from the IEM Katowice, and we're on Daybreak right now with this ZVP we're bringing to you in the bottom left corner. He is the blue Zerg playing for Team Acer. He is the Polish player Nerchio in his home country.
His opponent, the red protest player. This is a Korean, practicing and living in Germany at the time. This is ESC Daisy from the ESC Icy Box, a German esports club thing.
Going with a probably Forge first expansion here.
Yeah, really normal stuff. I guess it just did a ZVP Mana versus TLO, so you're going to see a lot of familiar builds here in the early game.
Yep.
ZVP is basically 2-base Protast versus 3-base Zerg and beat each other up from there. There are small variations and different kind of all-ins and stuff you can throw in, but in general, that's what we see right now in the ZVP scene.
So, Nerchio's in his home country. What do you think kind of pressure that puts on him?
For each player it's different, I suppose. Some players having the backing of the crowd would give them more strength while they're playing. Some players it would make them more nervous. Like I said, without like an interview from the player or something, there's no way of really knowing. Well, I think personally having that hometown favorite type thing would make me a little bit more excited and hopefully play a little better.
Well, true. I'm just thinking of Liquid Hero when he's in Korea. You can hear both casters, Code S and Code A, talking about how nervous he gets when he's actually on Korean soil, and he takes things even more emotionally than he normally does. So he didn't do so well in the up downs, and he reacted pretty, visually to that.
Yeah, like I said, I guess it comes down to the individual player at that point. It can go either way, or it can affect them not at all. They just another game, sitting at a computer. It's no big deal. Like I said, but that comes down to each individual. There's just such a variety of ways that you can react to that. I know that a lot of times when you're first doing big tournaments, it can be kind of a big deal. The first time at a LAN event with just not sitting in the comfort of your own home, that can be a big deal, but for most of these players, this isn't their first time, so that's a little bit out of the system.
Yep, and out of the system is indeed what we see on this map as well. Daisy was able to get his nexus down far before Nerchio's natural went down, and so Nerchio responds by putting down a quick third, which has already been scouted by Daisy. So we're going to see some pretty macro play coming out of these two on Daybreak.
Pretty normal stuff. Daisy did wall completely with a quick pylon as he saw a couple of Zerglings coming in. When the Zerglings ran away, he canceled it and made them more standard one-space type wall off that he can fill with a Zealot in a minute here.
He will have to kill something if he gets any Immortals out right now. He's probably going to put down a forward pylon with this top left probe he's got going around.
He should have room for an Immortal to go there, I think.
Or Archon, I think, won't be able to get through that.
That's the one.
Okay.
Archons are fat.
Finally,
that's amazing against Zerg, but fat in general.
Not a normal thing you see out of a lot of Protoss nowadays. They do general Death Ball or Colossi type play. If they go high number of Templar Archon, you're probably watching Hero.
You'll see Archons late in the game when the whole Vortex Archon toilet comes into play, but up until then, you don't see a lot of them unless it's like a desperation hold when they're trying to rush Templar for whatever reason, or like a failed Dark Templar type attack. They'll switch the Dark Templar into Archons and have them there.
Speaking of Robo facility type units, there's a Robo facility being built by Daisy. And
pretty sure nobody spoke of those at all.
I talked about Colossi, brother. That's why I said units. Anyway,
okay.
Gases 1 and 2 coming down for Nerchio. 1 and 2 have already been up for Daisy for quite a while now. He's already harvested 250 off of each one, and is putting it into a sentry at least, and some upgrades.
Yeah, well, it looks like we're going to see probably Daisy staying on 2 bases. We see really common this +2 timing attack with Warp Prisms and Immortals and Sentries, or possibly Blink Stalkers and Warp Prisms, and there's just this whole myriad of possibilities that generally come off of 2 bases. They try to take down that 3rd base of the Zerg player and set their economies even, and at that point you're in a huge advantage as a Protest player. That being said, we don't see a Twilight Council just yet, so we're not going to see +2. That's weird. He might be expanding from here.
Yeah, he very well might be. Nerchio, on the other hand, doesn't have 2 Evo chambers down. He's only got the 1, so I'm assuming he's going to go into like a Ling or a Ling Muta play and then transition into something else. We also don't see a Roach Warren, which is pretty typical off of a 2-base Zerg, but not necessarily a 3-base.
There's finally Twilight Council. He's getting ground armor, so he's planning on playing a longer game, I think, getting the +1 armor and +1 attack. He'll probably drop another Forge and another base and move on later into the game.
We're seeing Daisy put a little bit of pressure on early up with these Sentries, and Zealots is going to be able to wall off some of these units and give his Zealots free reign. If they get surrounded, though, that's going to be a bit of an issue. More Zealots being worked in right now. Some decent force fields, at least splitting up the forces of Nerchio, but the supply is still in Nerchio's favor. As well
he's falling back now to get out of the creep. He wants that extra speed on creep. There is Spine Crawler's weighing down in the mineral line, just in case he can't clean this up. Spine Crawler's doing some safety. You see Daisy picking up the injured sentry and bringing him back to safety with the Warp Prism. Some good micro here. This other sentry's about to go down. There it goes. And Nerchio's about to clean this up, it looks like.
It does indeed look like that. Just sheer number of Zerglings coming out. He's almost out of larva.
And the Zerglings have speed too, so just a very random force field in there.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what the force field choices of Daisy are like.
This Warp Prism is so low, but still over there causing issues and warping in more units.
If he keeps up the pressure, Nerchio is continuing to run out of larva, and his injects are pretty darn perfect, but this is costing a lot of time on Nerchio's side while Daisy is continuing to probe up back home and building up his facilities.
Passage Glass is coming for Nerchio. He'll be able to start Infestors pretty quickly here. There they are. These Infestors will have fungal growth as soon as they spawn, and here comes the Zealots warping into the main base. He needs to move the Warp Prism out, as it is quite injured already. And look at the Queen running for her life away from the Zealot.
The Zealot's being cleaned up by all these roaches that are inbound, and continuing to micro. Nerchio is going to be losing at least 1 roach if he's not careful. There's
really good micro here from Daisy, using that Warp Prism to pick up injured units, and with not a lot of queens in the area, the Warp Prism is in no danger, so it can just pick up any injured units and get them out of the fray while their shields regen a little bit.
Wow, huge warp in from Daisy, continuing up this Zealot pressure mostly. He's killed off 1 queen. He's going to be able to snipe this other one. First infested Terrans come out from those Infestors.
5 Infestors coming up now. They'll be able to fungal and drop infested Terrans here, so they should be able to clean this up.
Completely out of energy now. They need to get out of the way until they can regen some of that energy. Both Spine Crawlers have planted themselves, but there is continual warp in of these Zealots.
So much pressure from this Protest player. Wow. This is really, really incredible use of a Warp Prism here.
Huge bank on Nerchio's part, but he's not bringing in any more roaches because he doesn't have the larva to do so. So he falls back on some desperation Spine Crawlers, 4 of them coming in right now. And if he holds this off, he's still going to be on kind of a back foot. Oh, these Infestors are kind of vulnerable right now because they have not so many supportive units right now. The 3rd Queen is going to die.
Here comes a bunch more roaches, though, are about to hatch, so they should be able to clean this up. And we're going to move forward into this game. Nerchio's still ahead in supply, having his 3 bases up and running. He did have to plant a bunch of Spine Crawlers and lose several queens, but he is held, and his tech is in a relatively good spot, having Infestation Pit already ready.
That is so very true, but it looks like Daisy might be looking to put on even more pressure with these Immortal Sentries he's got going right here. He's reinforcing with some gateway units, and he might just move across the map and do some damage.
And another Warp Prism, which Nerchio might have nightmares about at this point with how much damage that first Warp Prism did.
It did a whole lot of time and tech
Burrow.
damage. Not really any kind of loss in worker count, but just the mindset that Nerchio has is probably a bit different than the one he started out with.
Yeah, that War Prism did way more damage than I thought it possibly even could. It was just microed so well. One of the weaknesses of Zerg's early game is they don't have much anti-air. It's down to Queens and Spore Crawlers, and with him being able to focus to Queen's down, that War Prism just had free reign, and he did just an incredible job with it. It's a big fight in the middle of the map, too.
Yep, huge blink forward by Daisy. He was able to pick off one Infestor before that first fungal came down, continuing fungals on the ramp. But I don't think there's enough here by Nerchio to beat the army that Daisy has coming in. The supplies are relatively similar, and even with the roach count that is there, he's going to have some issues.
A lot of Immortals coming in.
And those Immortals are going to have to come up against these Spine Crawlers and the huge number of Lings that are on the map right now. But he's going to be able to do a lot of damage with 4 Immortals on the map. And if any of the force fields are at all good, then Nerchio is in some deep water.
Yeah, Immortals kill roaches incredibly fast, as well as Spine Crawlers. So
there's the first force fields allowing Daisy to take out all of the Spine Crawlers in quick fashion. Continued force fields, and he's able to snipe off at least one of the Infestors, and the other ones can't even get to him. The Zerglings are completely helpless behind those force fields. The reinforcements from the third base are just in Spine Crawlers, and they're not going to be able to plant before the Immortals take them out. The Roaches are being melted by the Immortals, and the supply is finally in Daisy's favor, and I think that's going to be the death knell for Nerchio. He calls out GG, and the game is completed.
Really strong attacks from the Protoss player. Immortals are so unrelenting against the early game Zerg army.
Yep, and it looks like this was the +2 attack from Daisy. Had armor on top of that, but he softened up Nerchio with that Warp Prism. So we're going to jump into Game 2 in the CVP from IEM Katowice in just a second. From Chaotic TV, I'm KO.
This is Clips.
Thanks very much for watching. Cheers. Cut.
I hate playing.